Now on Mississippi Insight, Jackson voters will soon choose their next council member in Ward 1.
Jackson State needs consistency. They need quality leadership.
Governor Tate Reeves slams the IHL board over Jackson State's presidential turnover. And the capital city's police chief lays out what's really happening with crime in Jackson. That's all ahead this week on Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown on broadcast and on podcast. Thank you for joining us for this May 11th edition of Insight. In Jackson, Ward 1 voters head to the polls June 3rd to choose a new city council member. The incumbent Ashby Foote faces re-election challenges by independent Greene and Democrat Jasmine Barnes. The candidates told 12 News' Cameron Smith they see key differences in approach, but agree the job requires accessibility, accountability, and vision.
This is my first time running. I'm passionate about serving the community, and I have built a life of service. And so professionally, I'm a CPA and I'm an auditor, and I definitely want to utilize my expertise coupled with my passion for community and bring my expertise to the city in order to allow it to move forward, because funding is one of the biggest issues that we have in the city, and so we need to strengthen the financial structure of the city before we can move forward. And so I have developed a 5-pillar approach that I truly believe will be able to move this city forward. And we start with fiscal responsibility by addressing the audits and the financials in our operating services, and then we'll address infrastructure by breaking them out into short-term and long-term improvements. And then there's public safety that focuses on strategic policing, rebuilding the animal shelter, and ensuring that we have traffic safety measures in place. And then there's economic development and recreation. And so, again, I've built this life of service over the past decade, and I truly believe that I have the expertise to contribute to making this community better. And so Jackson has a lot that they can do internally to build credibility and to build leverage for the city. And so the mayor and the city council play an equal part in that, because the mayor will present the budget, but the city council is responsible for approving the budget. And even with the budget accounting is like the root of governmental accounting, and you have to really be able to trace and justify every single number that's reported. And so by focusing on what we can do, that's going to allow our residents to have more confidence in us, and then that's also going to make our credibility increase with outside sources as well. And so you really can't do anything else until you address that, because examples of us doing that would be like when we would have projects that we never get to complete because we run out of funds, we run out of grant funds, because we're typically out of compliance. And all of these things are just basic necessities that the city can do realistically and that they have a control over. And so I definitely think that with my experience of being an auditor, I can serve as that liaison between administration and residents, because I can see the needs that residents have, but I also know how to translate that to a way to administration to where they can, make sure that they're doing what they need to do on that.
Is the funding for Ward 1 a concern?
I would say that funding for the entire city is a concern, which would include Ward 1. I think that fiscal responsibility is something that's going to impact every single ward regardless, and so you want to strengthen that structure first, because not only is that going to positively impact Ward 1, it is going to positively impact the city. And I'll give you an example. Let's just say they had a $400,000 littering contract that just got approved, and we didn't have the necessary amount of bids in order for it to go through. And so when we allow those type of decisions to be made, what ends up happening is that it creates a cycle of vulnerability, and it creates a cycle of distrust. And so that's something that's going to apply to everybody in the city. That doesn't have to pertain to Ward 1. So it's going to start with the fiscal responsibility, because the 5-pillar approach that I built, they are interconnected, and I believe that they all feed on top of each other. So when you start to get the audits on time and get the financials completed, and you strengthen the operating services, that's going to start to build the credibility. The next pillar you have is infrastructure, which you should split into short-term and long-term improvements. So short-term improvements will be able to be things that you'll see in the neighborhoods, and a lot of residents in Ward 1 have concerns about the infrastructure in their neighborhoods, because some of the streets really do look bad. And so being able to work on that, build our processes, and build our credibility back with that, then we can seek outside funding from the state and federal government for more long-term improvements. And so all of these are interconnected, because again, you have the fiscal responsibility and the infrastructure, But the next pillar you have is public safety. And all of this ties into economic development, because some of the reasons why businesses struggle to open up here would be, one, we have a permit fee of about 20%, which can be very costly depending on the business. And so when we talk about things like that, that ties directly into.
Well, we've still got a lot of work to do. We've made some progress in some areas, and I think there's an opportunity to really move Jackson forward and change the trajectory of the city, and I'm excited about that opportunity. And I want to build on the things that what we've done over the past since in the 10 years I've been on the council. And I've learned a lot along the way, and I think I've got some value to add from my experiences I've had during that time period, the relationships I've built both at the city, county, and state level, and also the federal level. And so I think I can help move Jackson in a better direction to improve the quality of life for the citizens.
And I noticed that you're campaigning on Fight the Blight. So tell me about the message and why you're focusing on that this time around.
Okay, well, blight has become such a big part of the city's problems. I think it's central to a lot of the different issues, whether it's economic developments, whether it's quality of life, whether it's bringing new citizens and new businesses into the city. I think if we start to address the blight in a positive way, we can change the attitudes, we can change the confidence levels of the citizens, improve their quality of life in their neighborhoods, and then that will bleed into more, it will lead to more business development and get capital coming into the city to build new businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and fill up a lot of the good commercial space we've got available.
And speaking with some residents yesterday out in the area, said that they would like to see some more change along Ridgewood area and Old Canton, see more businesses and then more policing around that area and then the neighborhoods to keep safe. Just what are your thoughts hearing these concerns?
Well, police presence is a critical part of public safety. I mean, we have to make the citizens feel safer. They need to be safer, and it begins with police presence and police responsiveness to issues. Several of them came up this weekend that were really terrible, and we've got to do a better job of policing them and nipping them in the bud so they don't undermine the confidence of the citizens, undermine their quality of life.
How do you plan to get citizens to come out and vote for you again now that you're up against two other candidates?
Got two other candidates there, and my hat's off to them for throwing their hat in the ring. So I got to get have my A game on the campaign trail, and I'm trying to convince them that I bring a lot of experience, wisdom, and relationships to the table that will benefit the residents of Ward 1 by being able to work with other council members, with the new administration, whoever it is, and then also work with the state government and the federal government to bring the resources in so we can deal with these blight issues across the city and really get Jackson headed in the right direction.
What other issues besides blight does your ward need? I mean, we've seen a lot of businesses in your ward and got the country club and everything else, but what else can be done in your ward?
Well, I think public safety is issue number one, and with that comes if you get that in a positive direction, you can get in-migration of people coming to live, more people to come live in Jackson, and then with that also comes new businesses and more human flourishing and businesses that can build on themselves and really provide jobs for the people who need jobs.
Now we asked the mayors and hear this about the presidents, but I guess I'll ask it for wards. What do you plan to do in your first 100 days? It's another term.
Well, I think the main thing I'm going to focus on with if I get elected is work with Councilman Hartley if he gets elected to build on the blight task force and really take on this blight and get funds, resources from the state and federal level to address the blight in a really industrial scale manner. That's really what we need.
City government touches our lives more closely than almost any other government. It's literally what picks up the trash, what gets your water to your house, what if you're having issues with a pothole outside your house, those kind of things. It's directly affects your lives more than just about any other branch of the government. And so, when I saw that we, had a trash crisis where our trash was not getting picked up, where we didn't have water, where we had all these things, and where, it was hard to get responses from City Hall of what was going on, I felt like, it would be a good chance to try to run for office, to try to improve some of those things. I have, my family is very dedicated to Jackson. We live here, we work here, my kids go to JPS, our family business is located here, and I want this to be a place where my kids want to come back to one day, but I also want it to be a good place for them now. I feel like everyone in Jackson should have access to a good public education, and I feel like, we should feel safe in our city. We should feel safe in our homes, feel safe to, go into a store, do whatever we need to do. And we need to have people who are champions for Jackson, who are working to bring businesses to Jackson, to increase economic development, and all of those things. So those are some of the reasons why I ran.
So what are you hoping to accomplish? Because I'm hearing public safety, I'm hearing education, I'm hearing businesses.
Yes. Well, I have a master's degree in economic development, and like I said, our family business is located in Jackson. We've had a location in the city limits for over 40 years. And so we are intimately acquainted with the challenges and the opportunities of running a business here. And I think because of that, have a lot of credibility in attracting other businesses here. When a business leaves the city, we lose the jobs, we lose the tax base from that business, and it also contributes to blight as buildings are empty, as buildings sit empty waiting for other tenants to move in. So just being able to attract businesses, being creative with crime and looking at and reducing crime, looking at things like community policing, partnering with HOAs, those kind of things, and also just being responsive to constituents. Like if people, being an advocate for someone in City Hall, whoever is on the council is kind of your first point of contact into the City Hall, no matter who the leader is. Most people don't call the mayor if there's an issue in their neighborhood. They call their city council person. So having someone who is responsive to people when they call, and even if it's not an issue that city council deals with, to be able to advocate for people and either look for, contact other department heads or other branches of government or things to try to advocate for people. Those kind of things are truly important. Also, just getting city government working again. Like there are things like, the audits are not up to date. Often the 311 system doesn't work. I needed to call the city about an issue, and I looked it up online, and the number I called, it said was no longer in service. It was disconnected. But that was the number that was given for the issue I needed. So I had to contact someone who I knew had connections in City Hall to say, what number should I call? Who should I call to get this done? Just making sure that things are functioning so that people trust government, trust the city government, and that it is responsive to them. It should be make your life easier, not make your life more difficult. I shouldn't have to go to 3 people to figure out which number to get a simple issue fixed.
Coming up, Governor Tate Reeves calls out the state's College Board after the latest presidential resignation. Mississippi Insight continues in a moment. Governor Tate Reeves isn't holding back after another Jackson State University president steps down. The Institutions of Higher Learning Board announced Wednesday that Dr. Marcus Thompson had resigned. They did not give a reason. Reeves said IHL has failed to provide consistent leadership for JSU. The latest resignation follows a pattern of short tenures and internal disputes. Reeves says the state's flagship HBCU deserves better.
The third consecutive president at Jackson State that has resigned long before they have been there very long. Jackson State needs consistency. They need quality leadership. And I think that the IHL board and the IHL commissioner owes the taxpayers an explanation as to why they've gotten it so wrong.
This breaks the momentum every time. I mean, when you win the championships, you're graduating students, you implement a law program here now at Jackson State. So it's a lot of positive things happening, but then you abruptly, the leadership. And my motto is always, so goes the leadership, so goes the organization.
The IHL board appointed Dr. Denise Jones-Gregory, JSU's Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, as interim president. We're back with JPD's Joseph Wade in a moment. Police Chief Joseph Wade says that Jackson's violent crime numbers are starting to turn. He cites fewer homicides and more gun seizures over the last 6 months. But Wade also admits that certain hotspots continue to see troubling trends. He says community policing and patrols around schools and events have helped, and he wants to work closer with faith groups and local businesses.
You know, first of all, everyday life is a busy life for us at the Jackson Police Department. I want to commend the hardworking men and women of JPD who do an amazing job every single day. They put their lives on the line so we can have a better quality of life. But I'm proud to announce that next week is Police Week across the country, and specifically here in the city of Jackson. We're doing a lot of amazing things to celebrate our Jackson police officers. The first thing we're doing is, first of all, honoring and commending the men who lost their life in the line of duty here at the city of Jackson. That's May 13th. We're having a JPD Awards program on May 16th, and we're having a JPD Fun Walk Run also to celebrate Police Week. So we're doing a lot of things to celebrate our officers and commend those who gave the ultimate sacrifice here in the city of Jackson.
Awesome. It's not easy to do what an officer does. We understand that. But what can you tell us about the everyday life for boots on the ground people right now?
Well, first of all, and I have to say this because it's the truth, they see the absolute worst that society has to offer. When you are going into broken homes and broken circumstances and people that are suffering or in a state of despair and destitute, it is wearing on you as a person, because we all are parents and husbands and fathers and brothers and sisters, and we're human beings as well. And when you talk about trauma, you talk about death, you talk about things that they see every single day. This time last year, we were at 44 homicides, 44. With a lot of the partnerships that we've created now with the state, with our federal partners, with the community, we have that number now is 21. We've cut it in half, 21 homicides. I'm not proud of that at all, but it also shows the progress that we've made. Always the litmus test is how many murders have you had? You know, 44, now we're at 21, progress. But what's more important about this is that we solved 20 of those 21, which means the things that we put in place is now coming to fruition. I knew that it was not going to happen overnight, and I told the public it was not going to happen overnight, but it was going to happen, and now we see the benefits of that.
Gotcha. And that was my next question, is the solvability rate, of course, because that's something, you know, people will say, like, they're still waiting on answers for cases way back when. So how can they better get answers about those? Well,
again, I was able to bring back some institutional knowledge. You know, as you know, when I took the helm, we were at 221 officers, and we were in the negative. Now we're at 263. And a lot of those individuals brought back institutional knowledge. They brought back a certain skill set and educational background and training background. So we now have a cold case unit. We're going back, clearing up these cases that happened back in 2020, 2016, and I'm very proud of that, because prior to my administration, we did not have a cold case unit. Once your case went dormant, it went into a file cabinet. That is so unfair to these families that are out here suffering. I talk to these mothers and grandmothers almost every single day in my office, and that's trauma that they'll never get over. And also it's causing generational trauma for that family.
Gotcha. And thinking about just, you know, no matter how many officers you have on the street, if they're not a part of the community, then you're never going to have the issues or the peace that we expect. So how can we do something better for you as people who are watching the show right now and just everyday community members? And what are y'all going to be doing too?
Well, actually, I have so many things that's going on right now I'm so excited about. First of all, we have our Clergy Police Academy. Our graduates just graduated 2 weeks ago. We had a Citizens Police Academy about a month ago. They graduated, and now, if you want your child, your grandchild to be a part of our youth camps, I have 4 youth camps this summer, 2 in June, 2 in July. If you want your child to be a part of that, 601-960-1378. 601-960-1378. It's at the JPD Police Training Academy. We will find something constructive for your baby to do this whole entire summer. I'm very excited about that. We also have our PAL Youth Basketball program that I'm a coach and mentor of for the past 19 years. I know I'm aging myself, 19 years, but we've got to find something for our kids to do. But also I ask that the public continue to pray for and support their Jackson Police Department. We have to make an investment in public safety. The byproduct of that is a safe environment, a safe community. We have to pay our police officers and give them the equipment that they need to do their jobs. We can't say that we're serious about fighting crime. We have to actually be serious about fighting crime in our community.
We're back next weekend with more of the political and current affairs coverage that you demand. I'm Byron Brown from all of us here at 12 News. Make it a great weekend.